Welcome to week 3. Before I begin talking about week 3, I had mentioned in an earlier video, if you would like for me to look at your topic, your standards, and your measurable learning objectives for your dyslexia lesson, please submit those through email to me this week. Again, if you want me to look over the topic, the standards, and your measurable objectives, just email them to me and I can look them over and get them back to you with comments. Okay, looking to week 3. Formative and summative assessment is our topic for the week. So what we're going to look at is understanding the purpose of each assessment and how to apply the data gathered from these assessments to guide further instruction. You will also develop an understanding of appropriate teaching strategies for pre-reading, during reading, and post-reading. So at the end of the week, you're going to be able to define the purpose of formative and summative assessment, research how to apply data from formative assessment to guide further instruction, identify pre, during, and post-reading strategies that help students read and understand content material, share strategies appropriate for helping students read successfully in the various contents, and research and choose an article on content area reading, jigsaw that article, and share with classmates. Your assigned reading for this week is to carefully read pages 87 through 93 in Chapter 5 of Subjects Matter, which is Tools for Thinking, Reading Strategies Across the Curriculum. The rest of Chapter 5, you can just skim that chapter. Okay, PowerPoint presentation. Remember again that you're going to have your Word document with your PowerPoint responses on it. Please check your chalk and wire. I think once a year the code expires for chalk and wire. So go up to the top of the screen. You click and get a drop-down menu on chalk and wire, and it tells you when it expires. If it's going to expire soon, email cwhelp@mvnu.edu and request a new code. I don't want anybody's code expiring during week 5 when you're submitting your dyslexia assignment. The read aloud this week is A Black Hole is Not a Hole. You are to watch the video of the read aloud, which is located on week 3 of Moodle. Respond as to how you might use this particular book with a grade level and a subject of your choice on your PowerPoint document. What is Jigsaw? How can I use it in my classroom? Jigsaw is when students are working in different cooperative groups to learn content. You have a home group of maybe 4 students who are going to read different texts. When they're finished reading those 4 different texts, each child is going to come back and summarize that article for the other 3 members in the group. So are students making connections between this new material and things that they've already learned or things in their own life? Think how as a member of this Jigsaw group, you're going to be able to tell the other group members what you've read. As a teacher, you're going to circulate as these groups are working and listen to their discussions. The Jigsaw Reading Expert Strategy is just that. They become an expert on whatever they have read for the Jigsaw activity. This Jigsaw activity can lend itself to differentiating instruction based on content, student readiness, interests, conversations. So what you need to do is to select one of the articles found on the PowerPoint response activity on week 3, and you're going to jigsaw that, whatever one you select. Strategies and skills. Now, Chapter 5, as mentioned before in subject matter, talks about reading strategies for across the curriculum. Strategies are conscious, in your head things that you plan. You're very aware of what you're doing if you are teaching a strategy or using a strategy. On page 89 of our text, it talks about the key to teaching the strategies, gradual release of responsibility. Step 1, I do it, you watch. So you're modeling for the students. They aren't doing anything but watching you. Step 2, we do it together. You're modeling, again, what you're thinking, but you're inviting students to help you out, to offer suggestions. Step 3, you do it with my support. So you're having the students do most of the work, but you're there to support them, to scaffold for them. And step 4 is when you let them do it completely alone. So steps 1, 2, and 3 are all scaffolding for students, and step 4 is when they are on their own. It talks about reading skills that are necessary for reading content area materials. And those are listed. Again, it's continued. Reading strategy resources. On pages 90 and 91 of our textbook, there are many strategies that are listed. It also breaks it down to tell you, is it a before reading strategy, a during, or after reading? And then it goes on to explain the strategy. For example, reading aloud is before reading. It is also where you're building enjoyment for reading for your students. You can connect to and build on their background knowledge, and they can visualize meaning. Thinking aloud is a reading as thinking. In Think Aloud, you do it before, during, and after reading. You're setting the purpose for reading. You're self-monitoring. You're asking yourself questions. You're visualizing. You're questioning. You're identifying important information in the text. You may be making connections to other texts or to yourself. You're inferring, interpreting, drawing conclusions. These 2 pages as well as your flip charts by Janet Allen, are awesome sources of before reading, during reading, and after reading strategies. The Continuum of Literacy Learning by Fountas and Pinnell are also excellent sources of information. Pre-reading strategies. We're brainstorming, we're predicting. We may be previewing headings. We may be using an anticipation guide, a KWL chart. Those are all pre-reading strategies. During reading strategies, it may be the KWL chart. It may be visualizing. It may be supporting predictions that you made before reading. It may be questioning or inferring, rereading. Post-reading strategies, where you complete the KWL chart. You synthesize the information that you read. You summarize it. You reflect on it. You may have further questions. What do we want kids to do? We want them to set their own purposes for reading. We want them to self-monitor and select appropriate strategies. So when we determine what students need based on data, we're then going to prepare a mini lesson that's going to name the strategy we're going to teach them and explain the purpose of the strategy. These strategies you introduce one at a time. You model it, you explain how to use it, you give guided practice, and you help them apply it to their reading before you completely turn them loose on it by themselves. 3 kinds of mini lessons. There's planned, which you've looked at the data. This is what these children need. There's impromptu. It may come up in the middle of a lesson. And there's also review mini lessons. Usually a mini lesson is 5 to 10 minutes. Anything above 10 minutes and you lose your students. Make sure that students know how informational text is different from narrative. We want to teach typical organizational patterns. Teach students how to recognize the different patterns of text. Make sure that students understand the different questions answered by the different patterns. I'm going to be sending you some information on text features and text structures. Key reading strategies. Select books based upon a strategy, content, and standards. You're teaching them questioning, connections, visualization, predictions, confirming predictions, being able to identify the confusing parts, understanding text structures, determining what's important in the text, formative and summative assessments. Here is a video for you to watch. Your PowerPoint response number 3 is to locate an article on formative and summative assessment and share the article link. Write a definition of formative and summative assessments is response number 4. Provide an example of a formative assessment is response 5. And provide an example of summative assessment is response 6. If you have any questions, please ask me. I want you all to do well. I hope you're working on your dyslexia lesson, which is due on week 5. I'm here to help you. Please email me if you need me. Thank you.